Hey guys, it's Katie here with Life in the Mundane, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have a few guests, a lot of guests. These are my siblings. I am the oldest of 7 kids, and I'm excited today to take some of the questions that you guys asked on Instagram and Facebook and get to do a Q&A with my siblings, talking about what it's like to be part of a big family and some questions about being homeschooled and what was that like. So let's get started. Subscribers to my channel. Names only, okay? Alright, so before we get started, I just thought we'd go around real fast and have everybody share their name and just how old they are so you can guys get a little bit of context there. I obviously am Katie, and I am 31, just turned 31.
Oh, I'm Sarah, and I'm 23.
I'm Elizabeth, and I'm 24.
I'm Ben, and I'm almost 30.
I am Nathan, I'm 26.
I'm Andrew, and I'm 26.
They're twins.
And I'm Tim, and I'm 16.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to jump straight into the questions that you guys asked. Leilani from Living with Eve asked, when you guys were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? And is it what you were pursuing, or is it the same thing? And do you think that homeschooling affected that discussion? Did you think that affected it?
Well, I wanted to be a cowboy, and I'm now going into ministry. So, yes.
Yes.
I want to be a first responder, be a police officer, and I'm not doing that, but I do still work with emergency services.
Yep.
Well, I guess we're going down the line now. I always wanted to be an executive secretary for Parks and Rec. I don't think homeschooling changed that really. I didn't have cowboy stuff or anything, so.
What about you?
I always wanted to be a Lego technician and work for Lego, but I'm not working on that right now, but homeschooling has influenced me to pursue different jobs.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, all of us are graduated except for Tim, because he is still in high school, but he is dual enrolled in college courses. So even though he's in high school, he's only taking college courses right now. So he does not have a career quite yet.
I wanted to be a pediatrician for a little bit when I was little, and then I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, which I am.
Which she is, yeah. I wanted to be a couple things. I wanted to be a teenager first, and I accomplished that. So now that we're moving on in life, I wanted to be a teacher. I learned early on that I was not cut out to be a teacher for a large group of children, but I do teach my own kids in homeschooling, and then I like to teach here on YouTube. So yeah, I guess we're doing it. Did anybody feel like homeschooling held them back from what they wanted to do, or helped in some way in what you ended up doing?
No, I don't think homeschooling held me back. I do think a lot of people are surprised what I do with my job that I was homeschooled. They don't depict that. They don't see me as the nerdy kid who is really good at spelling, because I'm awful at spelling, for the record. And I try not to do math as much as possible.
Yes.
But I don't think homeschooling held me back in any ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say actually homeschooling helped me because I wanted to be a teacher, and so because I was homeschooled, I was actually able to tag along with a friend who was a first grade teacher, because that's what I thought I wanted to teach. And so because I was homeschooled, I had the flexibility to be able to go and shadow her as a teacher for a week, and I came back and realized that was so not the direction I wanted to go. And it was really helpful though, because I learned that there were aspects that I liked about teaching, but maybe classroom management was not one of them. So it actually helped me kind of narrow it down a little bit. So another question that was submitted was, do you feel socialized? What about the socialization question? And what about prom? Did anybody get to go to prom?
Yes.
First of all?
Yeah.
I am the only person that didn't go to prom. And that is because, this is important, it's because the guy that I wanted to ask me didn't ask me. But I ended up marrying him, so we're gonna call it good. But everybody else went to prom.
I went to prom with her.
Yeah.
She's my date.
Yeah. And you guys all went to prom, yeah. So, but yeah,
It was not my
I got my best
homeschoolers.
prom.
Homeschoolers can totally go to prom. If you do not know about your area, look for the local homeschool organization in your area. And for Kansas, it is the TPA, the Teacher Parents Association, and you guys can find out information about the prom, as well as like alternative prom stuff, which is more like bowling and concerts and less of a dance, I think.
What?
I don't know. I didn't get to go.
I don't know about
but
that. I would definitely done that.
but it's a thing. But yeah, so what about socialization? Does anybody here feel like you didn't get enough socialization?
Uh-huh.
I mean, to quote the obscure Adventures in Odyssey episode, socializing just to pass the butter. So I mean,
Yeah, I think when you have a large
Yeah,
family and you know people in your neighborhood and you know people in your church and you know people if you do homeschool co-ops or whatever, you get to meet a lot of people. We had a lot of people in and out of our home, which meant that we were interacting not as with different people, but people in all different age groups. So I think something that we've experienced, and I think I've heard a lot of homeschoolers say, is the advantage of homeschooling is you not only get to learn how to interact with your peer group, because of course you do that in different ways, but you can interact with almost anyone from any walk of life, which I think all of us have seen even as we've transitioned into the workforce or professional world, that you're able to interact with all kinds of people, and that's a big advantage.
Yeah, I think people are shocked when, like you said, they're a lot of times they're like, "You were homeschooled, but you're so normal," and then I'm like,
but even then, it's abnormal, as you said. It's the whole socializing people outside of your age range, which a lot of people who I find coming into the workforce now, speaking from like a workforce perspective, a lot of people coming in now don't know how to interact with those older than them.
Yeah. Well, and go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's a foreign concept.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the areas where you don't naturally socialize, or like where it might be an odd social interaction, is in the areas that you probably don't want your kids to be like. There might be
not to be normal.
Yeah, I was gonna say there are gonna be times where, as a homeschool kid, you're not gonna get a certain joke, or you're not. But 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be things you really didn't want your kids to get, anyways.
Well, and the question often I find arises from people saying, well, they want their kids to be well-adjusted kind of when they graduate. And I would say when you actually graduate and step into the adult world, you're the most well-adjusted person, generally speaking, out there. So any awkwardness is when it's you and other 14-year-olds, and that's just going to be awkward no matter what. So you haven't lost anything.
Very, very true.
And from like a socializing aspect, I know most of us here worked jobs while we were in high school. So we were still homeschooled, but during that time, we had plenty of time to interact with society and learn about all kinds of behavior.
Yeah.
So
So there was
had some sort of job by the age of like 16 or 17.
16 or 17, Yep. And we all got, I think all got compliments on communication skills and being able to actually adjust really well. So it can happen. You can have a socialized kid and homeschool, I promise. Okay, so Nina from Everyday Blessings asked, I'm curious to know if you guys think homeschooling made your sibling relationship closer, or if you're sick of each other.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
all the
A
above.
little bit about it.
Probably.
Lot of us.
No, I do think it helped that while we did have other friends outside of just our home, most of our time growing up was spent in the home with each other. And so not only are you interacting when you're playing, but even with schoolwork, oftentimes the older kids have to help younger kids, or you're maybe working on classes and things together. So there's a lot of back and forth that happens there, which I think we felt close to each other as kids, even though we fought. And then now as adults, obviously we're close enough to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Literally.
Well, and I think it teaches you how to work with different personalities, and which is helpful in work and in marriage and in having roommates and life, and just in general, you learn how to share a room is a really important skill.
With a lot of other kids.
Yes. So that was helpful.
Definitely learn how to manage what you have with other people's stuff to make sure that you're not treading on any boundaries.
Yeah.
And learning boundaries between other people.
Understanding that different people load the dishwasher different ways.
Some correctly, some incorrectly.
Mostly incorrectly.
No, I would say I hear a lot of parents who say that they're worried that their kids fight a lot more when they're homeschooled than they do, just because they're in proximity to each other, and we're sinful and we're fallen man, so there's going to be more fighting, but I definitely think there's more of a bond. And
Well, I think also even to that end, if you have more conflict, it's more chances for conflict resolution.
Good point.
Right.
So,
That was
Gonna
deep.
using his brain.
see, not all smart jokes.
No, that is a really good point, that there's more chances for that.
And we had time with being homeschooled to take 30 minutes
Yeah.
to sit
Yeah,
and
we
do
could
a
take a break
conflict
from
resolution.
30 minutes. An hour and 30 minutes.
Okay, so somebody asked, are you grateful, Michelle asked, are you grateful for being homeschooled in the long run? Pros and cons aside, are you grateful for
Yes.
being
Yeah.
homeschooled?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I was
Okay,
only
you-
homeschooled.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, so we all had some kind of outside of the homeschool home environment. We had some kind of classroom experience outside of that. Some of them it was co-op, which would still be a homeschool thing. Some took college courses for dual enrollment. You took public school online for a little bit.
Yeah.
And you did, and
You also
Ben
did
and
private
I
school.
did. We're the oldest, and so we did private school for. I was kindergarten through second grade. He was kindergarten through first, and then we did 2 years of high school before we asked to come home because it took way too long. At least that was my reason. I loved all the friends and everything, but I was like, Mom, I could finish this work by noon, and we're taking till 4 to do this. This is ridiculous. So I mean, we've had a variation of experiences, but what were your thoughts on the experiences you had as far as like?
Yeah, I think it was good to have experienced both, even like in high school where we had gone through all of our elementary, middle school, and homeschooling, and there were things that we were excited about being in a real school, having your own locker and eating in the lunchroom, which was great until we had our own locker and ate in the lunchroom and
Like it's really
things
not
like that.
Smells like feet.
And then it was easy to say, okay, we've experienced this,
Got the
and
T-shirt.
homeschooling was much better fit for us.
So Sally asked, what did our morning routine look like growing up as kids? Like, how did it go? Especially the time, like, wake up to the time our dad went home, or wake up to the time we started school. Does anyone know?
I feel
It changed year to year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is the constant with our homeschooling experience, which will
Yes.
probably be true for many homeschool moms. You can take comfort in this, that we didn't have like one thing that we did all the way through. It was a constant work in progress, and so some years we had like pretty defined morning routine. Everyone wake up at this time, make your beds, come for breakfast, do devotions, whatever. And then other times it was just, wake up and we'll try to start the day at 8:30, for school stuff.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
and none of us are morning people. We're all
Yeah.
night owls, so
That's definitely
getting
true.
us moving
Yeah.
in the morning was
I would say-
difficult.
I would say traditionally though, like probably the majority of my homeschool life, we did start school by 8:30.
Yeah.
That was
every
always
morning.
that, yeah.
So whether it was that we were up at 7 so we could eat breakfast with mom and dad and everybody as a family,
Or 8:25.
and then dad would leave the house around 7:30 for work, and we would get ready to start the day so we'd be in our seats ready to go at 8:30. Like that was kind of the ideal timeline, but just
Yeah.
depending on phases of life and what was going on in and outside the family,
Right.
that changed pretty consistently based off of other needs.
Yeah.
Well, it's as far as in the morning getting ready too, it changed kid to kid. So you might have one kid that you could give them an alarm clock at the age of 4 and they would stringently stick to it.
Yeah.
Not me.
But then there's other kids that you have to drag them out of bed and be like, you have to wake up, you do have to get up, an alarm clock is not enough option. So you can sort of customize it kid to kid, so some kids could wake up, get ready to get up, and on the other ones you have to go wake them up.
And there were flying objects at
Yes.
times.
So yeah, I was just saying. So I think that it was definitely ebb and flow depending on the season. Cut yourself some grace if you were a mom watching this. That there's also something to be said about we were a lot more routine people than schedule people. So it was more like get up, do this thing, then the next, then the next, and there might be like certain time markers like school by 8:30, but it wasn't like school by 8:30, math by 9, language arts by 10. Like it wasn't like that. It was just more this comes after this, after this.
Yeah.
Sometimes all that finished and wrapped up by lunch. Sometimes all that finished and wrapped up by dinner.
Yeah.
It just depended on the day and the season. And so, yeah. So I think it definitely has to change. It can't always be the same because your kids are going to grow age-wise. You're going to have babies that enter the picture. Obviously, there was a lot of babies that came in to play, and so that changes things.
and for us, homeschooling always fit in around ministry things too. So if you have like
Yeah.
a morning Bible study or an evening Bible study, that could throw off a little bit of what your routine looks like, which I think we would say one of the advantages too, that it taught you to be flexible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And time management.
Yeah.
Most
Painfully.
definitely. Okay, so another one was just asking like, how were we involved in chore? Like, did we have chores? Did we help out around the house? How did that work? Again, we've already talked about the dishwasher. We're not going to go in detail about that. There's some trauma and hurt feelings over that we have not worked out in therapy, so we're going to keep that off camera.
A couple monologues.
But we all cleaned up the kitchen after dinner together, which is where the dishwasher drama came
Yeah.
from. But beyond that, did we help around the house?
So we had
Yeah.
like designated areas
Yeah.
that we had to clean because there are a bunch of us,
Mhm.
and some rooms got used more than others.
Yeah.
And sometimes we did. I think we attempted like doing rotational schedules.
I think we did
Yeah.
rotation for a little
And
while.
that didn't work out as well as much
Yeah.
as just giving, hey, this one kid's job was to pick up and dust the living room, and this kid's job was to vacuum the living room and clean the entryway. But usually chores were kind of, besides like kitchen stuff, which happened after meals, it was all done after school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you weren't released to have free time until your school was done and your chores were done.
Yeah.
We would all trade off cleaning the kitchen
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
We would all pretty much do our own laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying how well we did it, but we all did our own laundry, and then we all had designated areas and possibilities pretty much all the way through.
Yeah.
Like even as little kids, not that we were doing everything there, but we were responsible to help with picking up
Yeah.
or
Well,
help
like-
with whatever. So I can't remember not doing chores.
Well, probably even
Yeah.
up until the time we were juniors in high school, because I think senior year, mom, dad basically like would take those duties and be like, okay, obviously you have your own responsibilities. You've got your rooms, you've got laundry, stuff like that. But more the public family hours, it was like you didn't have a designated task.
Yeah.
One of the other siblings picked it up, but your job was when you were home from doing college classes or working,
Yeah.
you were supposed to still help out your siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
say another thing with that. Oh, sorry.
no way.
So during the week, we had lighter cleaning duties. So it was like pick up,
Oh, right,
vacuum,
yeah.
it was dust, it
Yeah.
was pick up toys. It was very, very general light cleaning duties. But then on Saturdays, every Saturday morning we'd wake up and we had deep cleaning. And that's when you had an assigned task, and that was moving out the couch and vacuuming underneath the couch and more thoroughly dusting through. And each
Cleaning
person
all the bedrooms.
cleaning all the
Yeah.
bedrooms and cleaning the bedrooms, not stuffing everything in the closet we've been doing all week.
Yeah.
Making it worse.
And those chores you had to get done, and that was another time management thing, was you could play once you got your chores
As soon as
done.
your chores are done.
Some of us had our chores done by 9, some of us
Had it done by 9.
had them done by 9, just the other 9. Yeah.
After
It's
dinner.
normal if your kids are doing it. It's
Yeah.
keep pressing on, but it's normal.
And realize that having your kids do chores is, at certain stages especially, not going to be the most efficient way
Or helpful.
of getting
Yeah.
things done.
No.
But it is important.
To teach them.
Because you learn how to work and you learn about
Right.
consequences when you don't get things done on
Well-
time. And we had to do a lot of chores like paired off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So
again,
Nathan
that
and Sarah
was
go do this,
personality.
and that was conflict opportunity.
Conflict opportunity.
Conflict resolution opportunity.
Resolution opportunity.
Yeah, just the
We even
conflict.
started doing chores though prior to when we started doing schooling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Tim, who was the youngest of the family, probably 3-4 years old, was helping us out pick up toys and
Loading dishwasher.
unloading dishwasher and stuff like that. So it
Reloading.
just didn't only correlate from the time we started
Yeah.
school. We did it all the way up from being little
Well-
toddlers.
Well, you can pick something up.
And with those chores, though, even though we all had our designated areas or whatever we were gonna do, the house would never stay fully clean. There would
Yeah.
always be something because there were 7 of us, and so we would do sometimes during school hours. We would do like a 5 to 10 minute just quick pickup of the entire house and just clean as much as we could in that short amount of time
Yeah.
to help just mitigate some of that clutter that would get piled
Mostly
up
when
from
someone
all of
else
us.
is coming over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
times when other
definitely
people
correlated.
stop at the house.
Or we're selling a house.
We're selling a house.
Yeah.
Those are some insane pickups.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do pretty similar with our kids in our home. They all have chores, and I've done a whole video on that. If you guys want to check it out, I'll drop it up in the iCards above, down in the description below. And if you guys want to see, I'm actually getting ready to put out an updated chore system of how we are kind of switching up our chores a little bit with our kids now that they've kind of reached another stage. So you guys can be sure to subscribe and click the little bell notification to be notified when that comes out. So 2 last questions before we finish up. Colleen from Our Blessed Life asked, okay, how did homeschooling in general affect your relationship with your parents?
I think especially at the teenage years, I would say all of us ate up a lot of mom and dad's time, especially at night, late at night, but then
Sitting
throughout
on
the
your
day, like going in and talking to them about whatever we were working through, thinking about, big questions, issues. I mean, there were seasons where it was literally like mom and dad are in their room and we're rotating through
Yeah.
at different points. And
Like,
my
because we
parents
wanted
put-
to, not like we were being called.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
being
no,
called.
like that
We were
happened.
seeking
Right.
out.
It's voluntary, yeah.
Most of us are oral processors.
Yes.
And so we would talk through things with each other. We talk through things with our parents.
Mm-hmm.
That was very normal.
Yeah.
Like I've heard people talk about like, oh, my siblings never knew you know, who I liked or what I was thinking about or whatever, and that was not the way in our family. It was all very,
It's like
Very
roll,
vocal.
vomit.
Very vocal.
yeah.
That's all we are.
But some of that is because we had the flexibility in our schedule when
Yeah.
we were younger. So my mom could, we're in the middle of math or something, and one of us is kind of melting down. We could take a break
In that.
and and talk through whatever was bothering us. And so those habits were built at a young age. So when we were teenagers, we weren't shy to.
Yeah.
And those were our close relationships. Like,
Yeah.
if all my best friends had been outside at school, I probably wouldn't have opened up to my siblings
Yeah.
or my
Yeah,
parents in the
yeah.
same way.
I think an important thing too, so like we keep talking about like conflict resolution and dealing with things, which we did a lot of. When we became teenagers and stuff, it was also good for us to interact with our parents because some of us, myself being one of them, not necessarily because of them, but because of issues I was going through. Having them constantly in my life, having my mom as my teacher, I mean, it was pretty evident that we had to have some kind of relationship with her.
Yeah.
So later on in life even, it just makes things easier for us to communicate with our parents. We can go back and the same school memories we have with them, opposed to just friends we knew back in high school. So I guess it builds some of those foundations you need in order to connect and communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well, and I think like homeschooling requires a lot of time of your parents, like both mom and dad, pouring into you. And you get to know your kids really well when you homeschool. You get to know things that you never would have known otherwise. I mean, honest to goodness, just spending that much time together, as well as just getting to be there for those aha moments and those frustrations and knowing where they're struggling. You learn a lot about them that way. And so I feel like, you know, having been in the position now, like I don't think nobody else is of the age where your kids are homeschooling.
Nope.
Yeah. But like having been through that side, I see how that helped build our relationship on that end because of how much time they poured into us. I felt safe with them because they had built up that rapport, and also they understood us better and understood how to approach us better because of the time that they poured into us. And I honestly didn't get it when a lot of teenagers were like, "Oh, my parents, I don't get it."
Yeah.
And like our friends would come over to our house and talk to our parents. Like
Yeah.
we were like, "Well, you
In the
can come
kitchen.
talk to ours. Like ours are cool."
Don't listen.
They had probably 15 different adopted teenagers that come and just
They
talk
just call
things
Call
through
them mom
with
and
them.
dad. And,
Mostly kids.
All right, last question. All right, time to get serious. We're gonna end on a little bit more of a serious note. Do you feel like you missed out on things that you might have had an opportunity to do if there were less kids?
If you weren't here,
We gotta choose.
Yeah.
and I would have been great.
Well, besides her, it'd be like this whole couch gone.
Yeah.
I feel like the youngest should start first with this.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I could have missed
Yeah.
out.
No pressure.
I don't feel like I missed out on anything really. I think I actually got more than what I see other people getting because I had 6 other people to share experiences with, to pass down their experiences so I don't make the same mistakes that you guys did. And that was also really
his
awesome.
driving is way better than any of us were when we had our permit because he watched all of us make mistakes.
It really does help to be the youngest. I get to see everybody else's mistakes and
I'm still scared.
pick and choose whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it actually really enriched a lot of my experiences to have you guys, and I would change that.
Age.
He decided.
I don't think it has anything to do with the number of kids. Like, it's just who's here.
It's the specific.
I mean, yeah, would life have been different if there had been less? We would have gotten to eat out more.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would
Yes.
have gone
Oh,
to
yes. We did not eat
Disney
out a lot.
World would have
Yes.
happened for
It
me.
did happen. We went to the parking
Dad
lot.
Yes,
would
we
have
went to
gone
the
to
Disney
Disney
World.
Not wasting that
So we've
much
been
money
to
on
Disney.
Disney.
Yeah. So we probably would have gotten more fun things like that, but we wouldn't have gotten this.
Yeah, well, we were kind of born in twos, though, kind of.
Yeah, because like
Yeah,
you
sure.
and Ben were close,
We
and
definitely
then Beth and I were close,
And then the twins were.
then them, and then Tim, and even though Tim was like further away, we still.
yeah, they're still
We're
close.
cool.
Yeah, when you have a large family, you kind of end up with little families within.
Yeah.
You know, we had like the boys and the girls, the older kids, the younger kids. You know, not against each other, but well, sometimes.
Sometimes.
We've covered that.
Bonding.
But it is nice. Like we talked about, so we're 13 months apart. You're 13 months apart. They're like a minute. What?
60
Yeah,
seconds.
A minute apart.
No, it's not. Seconds is small.
And so like the nice thing about that has been like the pairings, like when we go into social situations, like if there was that
Like-
socially awkward time, your sibling
You have
was
a
there,
buddy.
your buddy was there to either be like, laugh at your jokes so it wasn't the only person not laughing at it, or so that later on they could be like, that was really stupid. You should not have said that. Like, next time, that's not what they were talking about, or whatever, So like, on the rare occasions that you were a little socially awkward, you had somebody either cover for you or be like,
Or push
Yeah.
you.
Well, and
you,
like for me, I'm one of the bigger introverts of the family, and I didn't want to talk to people and make my own friends. So I would just hang out with their friends or her friends, and then kind of make friends by being able to be outside the circle and kind of go at my own pace. Yes.
And then she married one.
And then she
Yeah,
married
then
one
I
of our
married
friends.
So yeah, but yeah, no, I think. What were you gonna say? What were you guys gonna say? Back row.
I would say, like,
Peanut gallery.
I mean, the age difference though too, not just between us, is like Harrison being 13 months is being a minute normal, but Tim over here, I'm 10 years older than Tim is. Katie's
14.
14. It was a really interesting dynamic because we had our siblings. Oftentimes, us four here interacted more together as kind of a group. It was the middle siblings or younger
Four younger
siblings
ones.
versus the two older siblings.
Yeah.
And then Tim came along.
Yeah.
So then Tim was the baby of the family, and
Yeah.
still is the baby of the family. But
And
We
how
all
old were
kinda-
you when I moved out?
Oh, yeah.
I was 5.
5.
Yeah.
So you became an uncle at 6.
6.
At 6 years old. So that's been a fun dynamic. But I think that for the most part, there are definitely things that we could have had we not had extra siblings.
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff you miss out on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's anything that we would still have now.
I think
Yeah,
the assumption a lot of
like,
people have is, with parenting or just family dynamics that, what matters is quality time, the big trips, the
Yeah.
special memories and experiences, and those obviously can be important. But really, quantity time of just being together, being with your siblings, being with your parents, living life together and working through that is really what's more formative than the special experience. So yeah, you will sacrifice. We never, went to Hawaii as a family for vacation. We could never afford
Sure,
that.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not really what forms you as a person.
Right.
Well, and I think the quality you're talking about is also kind of a relative term.
Yeah.
Because yes, we didn't go to Hawaii, we didn't do anything extravagant. None of us traveled outside of the U.S. as a family.
Yeah.
That was never anything we were able to do. It would have been really cool. I know our parents probably would have enjoyed doing that. But we were pretty creative, and we all worked together in our daily tasks, but we also had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we would go out as boys, we would hunt frogs and pretend like we were part of Robin Hood's band, running around shooting bows and arrows in the
I was gonna say the
backyard.
crocodile hunter.
And, no. And we would make slides out of all kinds of things that were never meant to be slides.
And then
Or
slides right
ramps.
down them.
And slides there downstairs. So we'd have fun. We made our own
I was
little
thinking
town with our own currency. Like, we had quality time with each other.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. If you guys have enjoyed this, if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and we can do our best to answer that way too. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If this has been helpful to you, I hope that you'll like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I post videos every Wednesday and Saturday on all about systems and different strategies to help you in homeschooling, home management, and parenting, to help you kind of make the most of those little moments and simplify your life. And so, anyways, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you later. Bye! Bye!